An arbitration hearing continues for nurses at Northside Hospital in Youngstown. The discussion is all about mandatory overtime. Nurses say it jeopardizes patient care. The hospital says they only use the practice in extreme cases to keep the hospital safely staffed. First News reporter Jerry Ricciuti was at a press conference this morning where the nurses laid out their objections. He's live now with more.
Hello, Lauren. Nurses and administrators at Northside Hospital are now in the second day of an arbitrator's hearing over the subject of mandatory overtime. Now, this morning, members of the Youngstown General Duty Nurses Association stood outside the hospital here, complaining their contract prohibits the practice of forcing workers to put in extra time beyond their normal shifts. Nearly 1,500 hours so far this year already. A figure they say is already double all of last year.
You get a schedule and you have how many nurses, number of nurses per shift, and then they already know, as we call them holes, that there's a lack of nurses. They know ahead of time, even days ahead of time, that they are short for a shift.
Now, we have a statement from the hospital that we received overnight. They weren't talking on camera with us today. They admit that the practice of mandatory overtime is used in what they call extraordinary situations, claiming that of the 217,000 hours of work put in by nurses this year, only about 1,500 were mandatory overtime. And when that OT is worked, the nurses receive triple pay, which is according to the contract. The nurses argue that figure shouldn't be 1,500, it should be zero. Coming up tonight at 6, we'll hear more from those nurses, including some of their own stories. But for now, live on the north side of Youngstown, I'm Jerry Ricciuti. Lauren?